right, welcome back to Film Noobs. This week we have an actor, director, writer, a winner. Well, this was back then of our college level submission for Rough. His name is Rankin Dean. He did what is it, At the End of Eight, which is a thriller comedy, not comedy, a thriller mystery kind of horror. How would
Right.
you right?
We usually say like a suspense-driven thriller.
Okay, there you go.
Mm.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Rankin, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, thanks, first of all, for having me. So I'm an actor and filmmaker. I studied theater and minor in film in Texas and made some films growing up with my friends in our free time. And then, starting with short films. And this was our second feature that we made while we were in college. Just on a $4,000 budget, and most of that budget went to buying the camera. And we knew that we didn't have a whole lot of money to make a big budget film. So I wrote it around it all taking place within one location, like one house, because I knew that'd be easiest. And so that's what gave birth to the idea of At the End of Eight, where they stay inside of a stranger's home for 8 hours. Right now I'm out living in LA, pursuing my dreams of acting and filmmaking. And we are just now releasing our third feature. And it's been like 3 years since At the End of Eight, almost, I think. So yeah.
Damn, look at you. Yeah, trucking along. That's awesome.
Trying.
There's so much I want to like unpackage because everything you just said was like there's a lot that I can nitpick here. First of all, congratulations, you're on your third, and you sent me a trailer for it.
Right.
What was the name of it? I can't forget.
It's called Dangerous Ones.
Dangerous Ones. There you go. Same kind of premise, a little dark thriller. At least that's what I got from the trailer. It looks really good. So hopefully,
Thank you.
If you're gonna submit it, let me know. And take care of you. Bring it along and let's see it. I really liked the premise of At the End of Eight. It was really simply done, but it wasn't a simple film. There was a lot of twists and turns, especially towards the end, that kind of made you think it was going in one direction, but then you changed it on us. I really liked a couple of lines, was it right about when they're about to hit them, they're like, like and subscribe, bitch.
Like and subscribe, bitch. Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's what memes are made out of. Yes.
Yeah. Just us college kids being goofy.
So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And that's another reason why I brought you back in, because I really wanted to talk to you about that, the whole process of it. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that it was done on a $4,000 budget, one location. It was how many actors? 3 or 4 actors?
It was like 4 or 5, including myself. I played a small part in it too.
Yeah, you played the cop at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Which I didn't really recognize you because you had grown out your beard and everything. I was like, man.
Yeah, I've never grown it that long before.
You got some good looks, man.
Thanks.
So depending on how thick your beard and everything, oh man, that looks really good. So you're in. Let's talk a little bit about the film. The film was. You had to go in the house, not get caught for 8 hours. At the end of 8 hours, you got money. But your film had some twists and turns at the end, some reveals. I'm not going to say, I mean, people should have already seen it. If they haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for them because I want them to go see it, especially, support you.
Thank you.
But let's talk about that process of having why you pick. Well, you mentioned the fact that you did it because low budget, but as far as like the process of actually filming it and making it work.
So yeah, I knew that there needed to be like twists and turns eventually, because you can't have like that's the thing about a feature. It's like in a short film, you can get away with them like just running around in the house like from killers like the whole time. But in a feature, you just need something to like make it that long, like draw it out. And to keep the suspense going too, because I knew when I was writing it that you could only have the suspense last so long until they find out what's inside the house, like what's going on. And I knew that at the halfway point, something needed to happen, and that's that first twist and it comes exactly halfway through. And the process was all night shoots pretty much, mainly weekends, and because we filmed it in the fall, and then I think a little bit over Thanksgiving break and Christmas break and stuff, just whenever we could. And we filmed it in this historical house actually that nobody was living in, but like a society was running it. And they have events there and stuff like that. So they agreed to let us film there. And so we had this really big, cool looking, old looking house. And most of the cast and crew were just college students and people that I knew and that were friends with me. And yeah, so that's pretty much the process of it. And we knew that there needed to be like some like fun action, and like, because like what helps suspenseful films is like when you reward the audience at the end. Because the audience is like his intention the whole time, and it's so satisfying. Like I wanted to give them a satisfying release, and I want it to be entertainment too, so that's where like the fight sequences come in, and the fun lines like and subscribe. I do look at it back now and I'm like, awesome, that's like really cheesy and corny, especially like with the cop and like the biblical references and stuff. But I mean, like that's just, you just got to do the work and you learn, you grow from it, so I don't like regretting the choices I made in it, but I always knew as soon as like I was finished a film, I knew the next one I could do way better, and that's how I feel now. Like the next one I can do way better. So yeah, it was definitely a learning process, but it was really fun, and we're proud of it. So
no, I applaud you. Like I said, I think it's really, really good, especially for a college feature film. One budget alone, for you to keep it within that $4,000, to me, is remarkable, because a lot of kids, and I've seen it, especially when I look at how much these shorts are made for, and I see some of these guys, I was going to say cats, some of these guys who submit their films, and I'm like, they're in the $16,000-$17,000 for a 12 to 15-minute short, and I'm like, man, that not that it's a misuse of fundage, but I'm more of the fact that you could have done a lot more and given yourself that calling card. So like yourself, you said you made a feature film, you learned a lot from it, and you're able to move forward and do another one. And so, and you're on your third one now. Again, congratulations on that. Because we did the same thing. We said, fuck it. I was in college, and a bunch of us, like yourself, kind of got together and we're like, you know what, let's do a feature film. Let's see if we can do a feature film. Right. And it was, one, to prove to ourselves, and two, to show the world that we could do it.
Right.
So I like the whole premise of it. Now, you said you're in California now. So were you here in Texas when you were going through college here in Texas while you were filming, and then you moved, or how did that go?
Yes. So I was born and raised in a small town called Colorado City, Texas. It's like near Abilene. That's where we filmed At the End of Eight. That's my like college town, is Abilene. And so we filmed it there while I was going to college at Abilene Christian University there in Abilene. And then COVID happened a year after the year I graduated in 2020. And so I stayed in Texas for another year, and then because I want to move to LA like right away, but waited another year, and then I moved out here in 2021 and been out here since.
Now, the follow-on feature that you did after At the End of the Eight, what was that process, having completed this one on such a small budget with close friends? And did you step it up, or what was?
Yeah, exactly. No, we did step it up. And that's going back to your point about people spending a lot of money on short films or their first films, and like you just needing to do your film and learning from it, and just to say that you did it and to prove that you can do it. That was what At the End of Eight was. And then once like we proved that we could do it and on a small budget, then we were like, okay, we learned a lot from this. We're ready for the next step. Like we're ready to step it up and spend more money. And luckily we made some pretty good money from At the End of Eight from Amazon. And we used all the money we made from it to put towards the budget for the next feature that we did. And I went back to Texas for, it was summer of 2021 when we filmed it. And I went back to Texas because it's just so much easier to film out in Texas. Yeah. Everyone is so much more supportive, and you don't have as much competition like you do out here in LA. And so we used a bigger budget, and I knew like what camera that I wanted to use. Like we wanted to go up to 6K, like we used the red Komodo, and just like better sound equipment, like going through the process, what you need to focus on, like what's most important, especially like going through post-production. And so then you're able to think ahead, and it was kind of like to reward ourselves. So we're like, okay, now let's, at the end of it was all taking place in one house, like at night. Now let's branch out in this one. So in this one, it's like in Clyde, it's in Abilene, we did some filming in New York City, and then we filmed in the Paramount Theater, like a ballet sequence, and we have like a car chase and like a shed explosion, and yeah, so it's still not obviously like Hollywood budget like style of a film, but we like got out there, like different locations, and I think there's like 14 cast members in this one, and we actually got like people from Georgia, from New York, from Florida, from LA, and from all around, to kind of ante up the acting and not just have like your friends acting. But like we earned that. We got there. So it was, so that's how we like stepped it up with this new feature.
Cool. Now I gotta ask you, from your first feature film, what was like two of the biggest lessons learned that you could take forward and grow from, at least for you?
I would say that that film is forever, and like once you have it done, it's there forever, so like you go back and you watch it and that's how it's going to be. So really take your time on writing it, if you are writing it, or take your time on planning it, because once you do it, it's like that's set in stone, like it's like that forever. And so I think what I took from that is when I'm planning a film, I really, really think about like, is this how I want it to be? And then like when you're in editing, like you're spending hours and hours, like editing is such a long process. It's like, make something that you want to watch over and over and over, and that you don't mind, like editing and seeing over and over, and that you wouldn't mind watching after, and that you'd be proud to show like your family and your friends and stuff. And like, then I'd say like the second to that is make something that's entertaining, like have some good entertaining moments in there. Don't be too serious. That's what I learned from it, because you got to think like people watch your stuff because they want to be entertained, like they watch movies because they want to be entertained and distracted, and so you kind of want to provide that for them. So I'd say those are my biggest lessons learned from that.
Cool. I like the fact that you said about do something that is going to follow you on forever. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, because again, like us, it does follow you forever, no matter what. You're always like, well, that first film you did, that's you little redheaded stepchild that's always going to be there, tugging at your heels. With you, especially because you going, or you went to LA, do you still use, at the end of the 8 as part of your one reel as a filmmaker, as an actor, or do you use it as part of your calling card saying, look, this is what we did on this budget, take a chance on me, or so forth?
No, exactly. That I will say that's what I did before. And I was like, look, because the good thing about a feature is it shows your commitment. Like it shows I committed myself to this big project and I got it done. Because I even knew people who tried to make a feature and they never got it done. Like they filmed the whole thing, but it just got lost in post-production. Like it never saw the light of day. And that is like so sad. And then so then if you try to make another feature, people are going to be like, well, you never finished your last one, or like the crew will be like, I worked with you on the last one and I never got to see footage from it. And so I think if you like have a finished feature, you have that to say for yourself, to show your commitment and your work ethic, and to show that this ain't your first rodeo, like you've been through it before. And but however, since it was on such a low budget, and since we were college kids, and I was like starting to go to LA and New York and stuff, and talk to the big dogs, for my next one, I wanted to have something that looked more professional and bigger budget, and to have something a little bit better that I can reference to people. And that's where Dangerous Ones came into play. That's where like, okay, let's get a 6K camera. Let's have it where it could be put on Netflix, like it meets the qualifications quality wise. And just have something that I can reference to people and be like, look what I just made. Like, yeah.
Cool. Now I got a question, because you said something about you were kind of making it with the idea that you could possibly get it on Netflix. When you were planning this one, and you kind of touched on it earlier about, planning before you start shooting,
Mm-hmm.
was that one of the biggest things that you had to plan out, or in your head you said, no, I have to plan out this way, that at the end of the day, yes, it's entertaining for people, but I still have to look at it from a filmmaker's point of view, that I want to get it into distribution, two, maybe possibly make money, and three, this could be a launching, point for my career.
Right. Yeah, definitely with this newest one, I was thinking that beforehand. I was planning for that. And that's where we got the Red Komodo idea. Because with Netflix, the qualifications are like, I think like 12-bit, like camera, like anything below that. So like the camera that we shot At the End of Eight with, they wouldn't allow it on Netflix.
What'd you shoot Innovate with?
It was a Sony A7S II.
Okay.
Which is 4K, but I think it was 8-bit.
Yeah, it's 8-bit.
Yeah, and still a great camera. But so we looked at Red Komodo, and that's 12-bit. I think it's 12-bit or it might be 10-bit, but it met the qualification for Netflix. And so that was a weighing factor, and we did plan for that. But just also like thinking like film festivals, and we wanted to be something that a distribution company could just pick up and maybe tweak or touch up, to, and then add to their catalog or whatever. But with At the End of It would have had been like, oh, we have to completely recreate this or redo it, like buy the rights, just because like the quality isn't super top notch or like doesn't meet the same level as other movies that these studios are making. So yeah, now we definitely plan ahead for that. And also, funnily enough, with this new one, I knew how persuasive trailers are. And I know like most people will decide right then and there in the trailer if they're going to watch it or not. And so while we were filming Dangerous Ones, I had shots in mind for the trailer while we were filming. And like, I remember one scene we were filming, I set aside time to shoot it in a certain way just for the trailer. I was like, I knew we weren't going to use it for the movie, but we were going to use it for the trailer. So, but that's stuff that you learn by doing, like you learn that by making films and by getting there. It's not something that you just automatically know right away.
No, I get you. I think that's great, because most of us don't think about trailers. I never thought about my trailer at all. Mm-hmm. Until you get to somebody and you get like, hey, can you edit a trailer for me? And they're like, what do you want me to use without revealing your movie? And
right.
You didn't, Anyways, marketing and distribution for At the End of Eight. I know you said it's on Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. Did you take any other avenues of self-distribution, or try to any other kind of distributors or aggregates out there?
Yeah, so we were hoping on film festivals at first. So we were waiting for the circuit to finish to see if anybody would be interested at festivals or reach out to us. But after not hearing from anybody, I think the other avenue I looked at, I can't remember the name of it, but it was some indie, like film indie, or where they buy it and they distribute it on their platform. Yeah. And I think we've considered that, but we looked at Amazon, and I think it would have been a better bet, because I think with Amazon you have like, it's just so simple. Like it has that option of like click like buy to rent, and then we get 50%. And so it was a little bit more solid, like solidified, like concrete, and I knew that we had like quite a bit of people who wanted to see it. And so I think that was just the safer bet. And plus it just looks cooler to say it's on Amazon. And the thing about like being in Texas is, if you say that like here in LA, people are like, oh yeah, like almost anybody can put something on Amazon. But in Texas, it's like, oh my gosh, you have it on Amazon, like Amazon Video? That's so cool. And so we just wanted to be able to like, make it look cooler than it actually was. And have like a legit income from it. And we did, and I'm happy that we did that route. But with Dangerous Ones, I definitely wish that we could have a different avenue, like explore something, because I just don't know that much about distribution. And then I am using like a distribution company that we won through a showcase that's kind of like guiding me and helping me through it. And they suggested getting a publicist for a film, and I've never even thought about that before, but they said that you have to start with that pretty early on. And so I think I'm gonna do that for my next feature, like my fourth one, like which isn't anytime soon. But see, that's another lesson that I learned. Like it's just a learning curve, especially how indie you do it. When you don't have like a whole team or people helping you. So, but we'll see.
As far as budget, now I know you said you were in the 4,000 range for at the end of 8 with the dangerous ones. How much of a jump did you have?
So dangerous ones is 40,000.
Wow, 40,000.
Yeah, and that was completely funded through what we made from at the end of 8.
Really?
For Amazon. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like we didn't have to fundraise at all for dangerous ones. But see what I mean? Like we wanted to do that. We're like, okay, now that we have the budget, let's amp it up a little bit. Let's step it up and make it a little quality extra. And so that's what we did.
What did you do extra with Amazon? Because I've heard horror stories with Amazon. I know there was like I know their payout was 6 cents an hour or viewing hour, something like that.
Oh yeah, I think that's if you do the free Prime Video option. So like they pay you per hour streamed. And we didn't do that. We did it where you had to pay. I think at first we had it where it was $3 to rent, and then after a few months we brought it down to like I think right now it's $2. I think to rent, and it's still that. So that way we can at least get $1 because you get 50% through rentals.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. Like I remember whenever we were getting ready for Amazon, I was so concerned because we had to get captions for it. Like Amazon wouldn't let you put it on there without captions. And the website that they wanted us to use, it cost like $100 to get captions. And I remember I was so upset. I was like, I'm trying to make money from this film. And I literally thought we weren't going to make but like $200 or $300 from the movie, and ended up making at least 40,000 to, like, so, but you research like how do movies do on Amazon, and there's hardly anything, like especially for indie people, there's hardly anything out there like to give you advice or other people's experiences and stuff. So it's kind of a gamble. So we have no idea.
Especially if you don't have a big library. I know like one of my friends, he has a library of like 20 films, indie films that he's done, really low budget and everything, and he makes money, but again, it's because he has a large library of them. Now, when you're talking about like yourself or myself, who has 1 or 2 films, that's where I'm like, wow, you made 40,000. Congrats. Again, great job. Especially for a film that only costs you $4,000. I mean, that's really good, man. That's actually excellent for an indie guy.
Right. But I'm thinking that like it's probably to the concept and the trailer. Like we're really proud of the trailer. Like I've heard great things, but I mean, we've got like really bad reviews on Amazon too. So like people have been like really, really awful stuff. And I think some of the reviews were like the trailer is way better than the movie, or like the trailer was so misleading. It made it look like it was such a good movie, but it wasn't. So, but I mean, hey, like that's the business, it's like, sorry, but so I think the trailer was just like really helped it. And then the concept, I think it just had like a really gripping concept. And I will say Dangerous Ones doesn't have that gripping of a concept. So we're kind of like, we don't know if it's going to perform as well or what, even though it is better quality. So I think it's just a gamble every time. You just kind of need to stick to your roots and like make what you want to make, and just, stick to that and be proud of it.
Now, how do you not go to sleep at night, but how do you, as a filmmaker, creator, having seen all those negative reviews, because this is something I ask everybody, how do you deal with that, being the creator, being actually not only the director and the writer, but also acting in it?
Yeah. I will say it was tough. The worst thing was I got like a hate email, because like in the film, there's kind of like a cross-dressing scene. And I mean, it's a psychological thriller, so we're kind of like just having fun with it and going with like Silence of the Lambs kind of like vibe, like just kind of making it creepy. And some people were offended from that, and that was not our intent at all. And so I think that made it hard for me to sleep at night, was knowing that I might have accidentally offended some people without meaning to, and especially through that hate email. And I've had like people around me reassure me that it wasn't. And even the actor in it who does the cross-dressing, he's he's gay and he's a big supporter of LGBTQ, and he didn't find it offensive like when you read the script, or nobody pointed out. So that was reassuring. And I think just having like people around you who are going to be honest with you and reassuring with you, and I think if you know that you did the best that you could in the time, and that that you did all that you could, and that you're true with yourself, and like, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Like, if you don't try to just bite back and prove everybody wrong, or take it too seriously. I think with this new film, I am really, really proud of it, and I do think it's really good. Like, I love watching it, but I know that I'm gonna get bad reviews. Like, it's just bound to happen. What I'm gonna do, and I've heard of this from somewhere, but I think I'm just gonna have someone tell me the reviews, like filter it, like them go through it and tell me.
Reviews for you.
Right. Like, give me the constructive criticism, negative reviews, the ones that will be helpful, So I'm not going to look at them myself. So that's my plan for that.
No, that's a good plan, because I was the same way. I had to deal with, there's just one review that always plays in my head, because again, like yourself, write what you know and what you're true to yourself, right? So I'm Mexican American, so some of my characters, they spoke English and Spanish, and one of the worst reviews ever, and it got to me so bad, was that it went something along the lines that I hate when people can't speak one language because they're so uneducated. I was like, oh, dude, that's like,
dang,
really, like, that got to me, because I mean, it's publicly seen, and everybody, I'm like,
right.
It angered me for a long time, and I was like, I could care less if they say my shitty movie this or whatever. I don't care, but wow, dude, you're taking a personal stab at me or something.
Right. I know. But when I think with stuff like that, what I always think is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. But, not everyone makes movies. It's not easy for everyone to make art, because you have to be vulnerable, and it takes a whole lot of work and time and effort. And so people who leave reviews and ratings are just consumers. Like, they're just viewers, and anybody can watch a movie, but not anybody can make a movie, And that's what I always remember. Not to like downplay my audience, but
well, I don't think at that point, I don't think they're just audience when they're actively participating in the part of giving you feedback, but it's not even constructive feedback, it's negative feedback at that point. I don't think at that point that they've crossed the line from being an audience to something just malicious, at least in my point of view.
Right. No, they just want to bring you down, which isn't good at all.
Yeah, I mean, I could take negative reviews if you're coming at me with the fact that, look, hey, yes, your movie didn't look great, but this is something that maybe you should look at. Or, hey, I didn't see that you didn't close this loop or whatever. Tell me something that, yes, it's negative, cool, but what do you suggest? Since you're so smart and you caught it,
right?
You suggest, Yeah,
and it's way easier to take a step back and examine everything and have time to be like, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. And like, I think too, like, they don't know the full story. Like, I remember At the End of 8, something happened where people always pointed out, like, they'll say like the lighting isn't great, like it's dark in a lot of scenes. And I remember thinking back on set, and like, we had like 3 lights, and the wind blew it over, and it broke the battery casing, and so we lost a battery casing. But we were on a time crunch for schedule, so we had to go with 2 lights. But like, we could have put it over there, but we needed it for this. And like, one of our crew, what I mean, like, so many factors build up, and it's like, they don't know that, but you can't make excuses, and you can't build it up. Like, you can't tell everybody like, well, it's because like we were going to do that, but we had to do, you can't say that to everybody. So, but with that being said, like, you're right though, like the constructive criticism with negative feedback, like I got a lot from At the End of 8, and brought that over to Dangerous Ones. Like, I had that in mind, like, okay, I remember people said this a lot about At the End of 8, so I need to work on that for this, or I need to keep that in mind for this, going into this one. So
that's pretty badass. Let's touch a little bit back on the whole, because I do remember that scene about the cross-dressing scene, and again, it was one of those twists at the end where I was expecting something to happen. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because it made me think that, and I was like, okay. And then when they ended up in the room, I was like, Silence of the Lambs, callback.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, so he's pulling a lot of like stuff that would have motivate you or inspired you to do certain things, and I love that because you could pull and you could see how you were inspired to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like when you were writing it, did you honestly you were just writing, or that thought process was like, oh man, I remember that scene, and I think that'd be a cool scene, or was it? I know you say it wasn't intentional to like insult anybody, but was it intentional to be like, you know what? I think it'd be great twist because of whatever, and I think it'd be great if it was a cross dressing scene.
Right. No, totally. I was, but at the end of it, I really was just writing. Like ideas were just pouring. I kind of was like going from the beginning, and like I knew how it started, I knew how it ended, and I just like went do like just like let them explore all through the house, and I just knew the audience was gonna get bored inside the house eventually. So I'm like, how can I make this interesting? Like, and then it's like they don't know who all is in the house, right? Like you don't know who all is inside, and so I wanted to make it look like there's more characters. Like, oh, there's like two guys and a woman in there, and but I wanted it to be like a twist because I'm like, well, what if, but the woman wouldn't be doing this and the woman would be stopping them, or you know what I mean? Like there'd be like reasons. And so I had to be like, well, what if it's not a woman? You know, like what if it's, but it's also like this guy who's in there, he's kind of twisted already. And that's where I think people got offended is like, oh, are you saying that trans or people who like to cross dress are twisted in the head? And I'm like, you know, like, it's like, no, like there's other factors showing that he's twisted. Like it's not just because of that, but, and I try to like build a backstory. And I think when I was writing that, I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, then you can't just do it random. Like, oh, he just randomly wanted to do this. So I tried to build a subtle backstory. Like, 'cause he talks about it briefly, like where his mom said he was like, and he was never going to be pretty or an ugly child or whatever. And having the photographs, you know, of him like standing next to like these other women, like in theater and stuff like that, like in plays. And that's what gave him the ideas, you know, like I think the backstory I had was like, he once played a woman in a play and that gave him the idea. Like he fell in love with like being a woman and that made him be like someone else. And like, I don't know. We didn't dive too much into it, but it was like very subtle because that's not the main point of the movie. And yeah, it was just like ideas just flowing out and trying to build off of it. But it wasn't just for me. Like I spoke with my friends and my producers and stuff. Like, what do you think about this idea? Like, is this creepy? Does this work? And we kind of like brainstormed off each other. So
that's cool. So the writing process, pretty much you're not in a dark room with a little flashlight, just writing. So it's very collaborative.
Yeah. Right until the end. I like to talk out my ideas too. Like if I get stuck, like I have a friend who I'll explain to him, like, I'm in this scene, but I need to get to this scene, but I don't know how to get there. Like, how do I get there? And then I remember once I was so stuck and he was like, well, what if they did this? And I'm like, that's gold. Like, yes, like that works perfect, you know? And so it's like, if you talk out your ideas, it sparks stuff. And that's what I like to do. But so not necessarily like sit down and write with people, but like talk out ideas and the, like the skeleton of it, like the whole outline. And I listened to a lot of music from like horror films and thriller films while I was writing, and that really helped a lot. Like whenever I was driving in the car, I would be blasting like music from like suspense thrillers and horror films, and that really got the ideas pumping.
That's great. I actually never thought of that one. Huh.
Yeah.
I have to use it next time I write something. You know, at least like music inspired from certain movies.
Right.
That'd be pretty cool. Now with Dangerous Ones, tell us a little bit about that one, the idea and the concept for that one.
So Dangerous Ones is about a New York City couple who take a getaway trip to Texas, but unknowingly cross paths with this drug smuggling operation on the border of Mexico and Texas. And so the main guy, he used to live there in Texas, and then they moved away, but they never sold his childhood home. And so that's where they go to, and it's been empty for a while. Once they get there, some kind of sketch things start happening with like other people in the town. And they start figuring out what they got themselves into. So that one is a suspense driven thriller as well, but we also call it like a crime drama, like a neo-Western crime drama. And this one has like, I really like it because there's like a relationship drama in it too. It's because I really do believe that I can't remember who I heard it from, but it's putting ordinary characters in extraordinary circumstances. That's what can make a story so intriguing, you know? And I think that's what this film is. And so there's some really sweet moments, but there's also some like really wicked and suspenseful and action. We have a lot of action in this one. It's not, I wouldn't call it an action movie, but the last half are some pretty badass fight sequences that we've been getting a lot of praise from, which we're really proud of. And that was like a whole lot of fun to film.
Nice. Now, two things. One, you went to school. Well, I believe your actual, Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in acting in Abilene, and then studied film production and personal screen acting at Los Angeles Film I'm reading your here, Los Angeles Film Studies Center. So you're kind of focused on film production for school, right? So the question is, should people go to film school or not? The big question that everybody always asks.
Right. I think it's helpful, but if you're going into debt for it, then I wouldn't recommend it. And I think too, I've heard from people that they get pigeonholed once they get there, like they get sidelined. And they don't really get to be a leader of their own project or do their own thing. But for me, like I minored in film in my main college degree. And so that was more film study. Like we didn't do like film production yet. It was more just like watching movies and talking about like studying them and writing essays and stuff like that. And the Los Angeles Film Study Center was only one semester, and that was like film production. But I think where that is beneficial, like that is more important, is networking. Like I met so many good people through that, and you make so many good friends and connections who are passionate and hardworking, and then you can call on them to help you with your films. But I think the best film school, and you hear this from like Quentin Tarantino and like James Cameron and stuff, that is just doing the work yourself, because there really is no rules in filmmaking. And of course you'll learn the right way to do it eventually, but you really, really learn by doing it yourself. And sometimes if it's just you with a camera and you really have to do all the work, you get to learn how to do everything, and that better prepares you for future stuff. Like it helps you talk to your cinematographer, it helps you talk to your editor, and make sure that sound is good, and you learn how to work with actors, and it gets you all well-rounded and prepared. And it helps you as a director to see the full picture, like when you know how like every step works and the whole aspect. So don't go into debt for film school. That's my final answer.
I think that's the best answer I've heard so far, because everybody has their own, their own ideals or how they feel about film school. And again, most of the time, the biggest positive thing is being able to connect with people. But you're the first one who's like, don't do it if you're gonna go in debt. I like that. I like at least keep it real, right?
Right. Like put that money towards one of your films.
Be a Kevin Smith, because I think he dropped off.
Yeah.
He dropped out of his last semester or something like that and invested that into his film, and it paid off. So I'm not saying it's going to pay off if you drop out of college, but it could.
It's a gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the next gamble that we're going to talk about is the film festivals. Should you or should you not try the festival circuit?
Yeah, I think so. Especially now, it's like super simple to do. So like with Film Freeway, like that's what I use. You just have to be careful on where you submit and what you submit to. Like definitely some festivals are just looking for a cash grab, and they don't really give you the credit or appreciation that you deserve. But it is tough. Like we submitted a lot of festivals for Dangerous Ones, and it's a long, slow process, and it just delays like releasing it and stuff. But it is really fun when you get into a good festival. it's just a good time to celebrate your film and to meet other people and watch other films. So I think it's worth it. And the like accolades look good on your film's like portfolio and trailer. And think about that, like for your poster and stuff. If you put the laurel on your poster, it helps it out. Like when people say like, oh shoot, like it's this good, where it won this award, or like this festival, like it made it into this festival, like this festival wanted to screen it. So that helps for that sake. But don't bet like all your coins on festivals. But yeah, I think it's worth it.
What would be your advice for people who want to submit to festivals?
We'll first study the festival, see if it's one that will match with your film. Some festivals are specific, like, like horror film festival, but it's not in the title. So you have to first look at that. And then second, look if they are like legit, like, because some festivals, they'll charge you to submit for like even awards. So it's like $20 to submit to be selected, like for narrative film, and then $20 to be considered for best director, $20 to be considered for best actor, $20, you know what I mean? And like that's not right in my opinion. I think like if you submit a film, you should be considered for all the awards. So look for that, and then just look at the reviews from. That's what's good about Film Freeway, as well as that there's reviews and ratings at the bottom that people from past experiences. And then also if it's local, if it's close and nearby and you're able to go, I would definitely recommend submitting to places where you can go and be there. Yeah, and like keep it in the United States,
No, but
unless it's a bigger film.
I like that idea, that the fact that if you keep it local, you're able to go and network. So that opens up your little pool of people that not only that, but you're also supporting local, filmmakers as well. Because I know some of these film festivals are run by actual people who are in the industry. I just interviewed maybe 3 episodes ago. He's from Corpus, and he started off in Dallas, and he opened up a festival in Dallas. Now they're opening up one in Corpus, but it's the same guy. And 1, he's an educator, and 2, he's an actual filmmaker. So I was like, wow, that's pretty badass, So, but it's just, you're right. Say again?
They want people from their own state, like from Texas, and wherever you are, to be there. Like they want to like be proud of it and help you out and support you and stuff.
That's badass, man. So where can we find your film?
So At the End of It is still on Amazon, and then Dangerous Ones is actually coming out this weekend. So funny enough, it's out on Amazon this weekend, and I've actually been working on the new trailer that announcing it, and so that will be out soon. But you can find more info on our website, beyondstarfilms.com. You can look us up on social media, and then on YouTube, you can just type in At the End of It, or you can type in Dangerous Ones and look for the trailer there. And then we have some other cool like behind the scenes and bloopers, and then we're going to upload like the Q&A from the premiere for Dangerous Ones later and stuff like that. So that's where you can find all of that.
What about yourself? Because I know you're an actor. Where can we find your reel and how to get a hold of you?
Of course. So it's pretty much the same. So you can find me on YouTube, Rankin Dean, and that's where you can find my reel and other like short films and projects that I've done. And then I'm on Facebook and Instagram and IMDb. And then feel free to email me, rankindeanbullard@gmail.com. And you can find that like on my Instagram and IMDb and stuff. So.
And everything's Rankin Dean.
Yeah, that's my stage name. That is Rankin Dean, because some people had a hard time growing up saying Bullard. They call me Ballard or Buellard or whatnot. So
nice. I like it. It actually rolls off Rankin Dean. They're very Hollywoodish. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So last thing, any shout outs, thank you, anything like that you want to, stage is yours for the next couple minutes.
I mean, just thank you to you for having me and supporting indie.
No. Other people.
And I guess just like my parents for supporting me, and Sammy Castillo, my best friend and producer, and Cody Toll, and yeah, and got to thank God for all the blessings and allow me to do what I love to do and pursue my dreams. So super grateful.
Well, I do want to thank you for being on the podcast. And again, guys, catch this film if you haven't seen it. At the End of 8 is on Amazon. What is it? The Dangerous Ones. I have to read it. It's right behind you. Dangerous Ones is going to be on Amazon this weekend, May 6th.
Yeah.
May 6th, it will be on Amazon. It is worth renting, guys. Once you do that, also make sure you leave a positive review. If you don't leave a positive review, at least be, fuck, how can I say it? Be nice about it. Be creative and actually give them, feedback. Leave a like. Do rate them because it does help. The metadata does help. It helps being able to, especially on Amazon. I know the more ratings you get, the more likes and everything, the better it is for Amazon to put you up front.
Exactly.
And again, we're independent filmmakers. The more you watch, the more you like, the more you share, the better it is for us. And again, congratulations on doing badass with At the End of 8, because to get that much of a turnaround with such little investment, congrats. And it was a really good movie. I loved it. Great freaking plot twist at the end. Twists with a plural S, because it was constantly twisting, and I was like, damn it, fuck. like, let me get the payoff, the final payoff. But it was a really good movie, man. I appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to Dangerous Ones. Again, it's going to be on Amazon this weekend, so I'll probably rent it Saturday and check it out. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
But until then, guys, keep watching films, and we'll see you next week.